about this. A Starbucks coffee shop in Philadelphia is under fire after 2 black men were arrested while waiting for a friend because they hadn't ordered anything. Now, cell phone video caught what happened when their friend showed up. Take a look.
What did they do? Did someone tell me what they did?
They didn't do anything. I saw the entire thing.
Where did they get called for? Because there are 2 black guys sitting here meeting me?
So there were a lot of white people in there who, you know, at the same time, who hadn't really ordered anything, but nobody arrested them. I mean, it's just, you don't want to leap to a racial thing. You just never want to. But how would you ask one not to leap to a racial thing? I've sat in Starbucks just hanging with friends who haven't gotten anything right away. Nobody arrested. Well, it'd be hard to arrest me because I'd be loud as hell. But I don't know anybody who's gone into Starbucks who hasn't had a few minutes when they haven't ordered anything. And what's happening?
Use your head for one thing, because when they police get a phone call and they're on the scene, it is also their job to reasonably assess what's going on. So there was a double down on this where they said the police didn't do anything wrong. They were called. They came and did their job. I disagree on that. When you come and you say, what did they do wrong? And no one has a reason, you do not arrest them.
That's true.
They
were wrong as well. It was just a comedy of errors everywhere. And what I liked about what the Philly mayor said, he said, this incident appears to exemplify what racial discrimination looks like in 2018. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And
what does that mean?
Because, you know, they're no longer, well, some places there are, but they're no longer lynching us out of trees. They're no longer able to do that sort of overt discrimination and racism, but they're able to kick us out of Starbucks for doing the same thing that every other person, non-person of color, is doing. And that's what we talked about this on Friday. And I was saying, you know, this is the real life experience of African Americans in this country. It's something that Whoopi and I, we deal with it every single day. And I hate that this happened, but I'm happy that it was caught on video and that we're talking about it. Because these indignities happen all the time when there isn't a video, and it is hard.
Wasn't it
really
heartening to see some white people sticking up?
The allies are so important.
That's
Exactly.
You know,
There were people that followed them outside that aren't on video saying, we knew we had to act fast. And they, in a very civil way, said, please explain what just happened to us. So the fact that they rose up.
What's important in this is, like, this is real racism. This is where when 2 black men are just sitting in a coffee shop and they're arrested for sitting there and not ordering coffee, which I've done a million times. Sometimes you just use the Starbucks bathroom and leave. And I think that sometimes in the country we can get to a place where we're like, you know, there's not a differentiation between real racism that's very easy to see, and then
because real racism isn't always easy to see. That's the problem. I mean, I think that's why it's hard. And because I mean, I talk about this a lot. I have I have 4 ears, right? I have 2 here and 2 here. Because when people say things to me, I always have to make sure I'm hearing what they're actually saying. So, because sometimes people say stuff and you think, what do I do with that? Because it sounds kind of funky and I'm not sure. And, you know, this is a daily thing that I do still with folks. And it's hard. And people always say, well, that's the race. It's not the race card. You have to be a minority to understand. No, don't applaud. Don't applaud, because you don't know what I'm getting ready to say. Make sure you know what I'm saying before you appreciate it. I think when you are a minority and you hear people say things, you have to struggle with making sure that you're not leaping to the wrong conclusion. So it's very hard sometimes to surf it. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Unfortunately, it takes a little while to explain this.
Can we finish talking about this after the break?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, now you just, okay, we're out. you being racist to me. You don't want to leap to it because you don't want it to be the first thing. But sometimes it's hard to tell. So sometimes it's subtle, and you know, as things change, it's part of what people talk about as the PC.
And I don't want to diminish anyone's experience.
Oh no, you didn't.
Anywhere of any kind. Talking about race is hard sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we're living in such charged times for so many different reasons, and there are examples like Charlottesville where it's very easy to see real racism in front of our face in real time.
Yeah.
And I just think this example at Starbucks shows there's really no middle ground on this. There's no room for interpretation.
Well, this one, no.
At all.
That implicit bias, though, you know, those two guys were real estate brokers. They were real estate executives, and so.
But even
they were meeting a friend.
Even if they were guys out of work,
but they
should not have been arrested
but that
like
manager at Starbucks, who, by the way, I was told is no longer working at that store. She shouldn't be working at any Starbucks store. So I'm wondering what's happening.
I don't know. Can I amend that?
Yeah.
Because I don't know that she shouldn't be. I think you could do. Yeah. You could do some training.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to do implicit bias training.
You should do some training because maybe she didn't really get it. Maybe she didn't realize what it was going to turn into. But maybe if she had a little more training, it might help her.
And they are going to do that.
I think that part of the problem is that people do not understand history in this country. They have not studied racism in this country.
Yeah.
And the history of slavery, which went on for a couple hundred years. And, you know, it's like recently I was just reading, we were talking about in the New York Times, that a lot of millennials do not know that the Holocaust existed.
66%.
They don't know
it's
what
crazy.
Auschwitz was. I mean, this is an incredible lack of understanding of the most significant thing of the 20th century, maybe. One of the most significant things. And slavery is one of those things. It's a long-running Holocaust that needs to be taught in schools so that when
in
people...
depth,
so that
not
when
one chapter in the history
kick out a black
book.
guy out of a Starbucks, they know what they're doing. They understand the history of what these people have gone through for hundreds of years.
And continue to go through.
And continue to go through. So, I mean, Barack Obama, if he wasn't president, and if you weren't Whoopi Goldberg, you would be stopped. A taxi would not pick you up in the old... I don't know about
taxi
now.
still didn't pick me up.
It doesn't, that's my
You know,
point.
true.
So these things need to be historically examined and not just talk from the outside your turkus.
Well, we just, you know,
No
look,
talking.
American history is all of our history.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what happened to me or to the young lady next to you or to the Spanish girl sitting over there or to the white woman over there who was not allowed to get her thing on because she was a woman. If we don't understand that, we're not going to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay? So this has to work for all of us or it's not going to work for any of us. We'll be right back.